Now we have a clear understanding of modernism. We are now going to look at postmodernism. Who are they and what do they actually believe and what are their aims? Postmodernists celebrate individualism, self-expression, personal experience. They truly believe that everyone has an equal voice and that people have the right to voice their own opinions. Opinions are valid because the idea of universal truth is now abolished. Therefore, they celebrate diversity and give voice to the minorities. Postmodernist postmodernist politics. So the West, they believe at this stage, in regards to our timeline of history, that the Western world no longer has authority. The authority of what is right and what is wrong. The authority of what is true history and what is false history. So now smaller communities are given voices. These minority groups are, for example, people from Papua New Guinea, or the homeless, or maybe really minute religions that only have maybe a couple of thousand people that are involved in it. So those small communities have what we call localized truths. But then we also have localized truths within a community on itself, like the homeless people. It is the postmodernist prerogative. It's their job to challenge audiences' long-held beliefs. It is in their artworks where they reveal the Western world's inconsistencies. So basically, they're challenging audiences on their long-held beliefs. Who are the postmodernists? Postmodernism really has no formal date of the beginning, as it really is an attitude that developed over time, especially by the art community or the arts community. Due to technology and the accessibility of communication, information, the most successful postmodernists are often non-westernized people. This becomes apparent because it becomes the minority communities that now have new, important stories to share with the world. Due to migration and the world becoming a melting pot, artists are now universal and can come from remote areas. Postmodernism summary. The focus is on the individual. So it's now, if we think about modernism, it was more about a collective, a group of people that are voicing their ideas. But now we're thinking about postmodernism, it's really about the individual artist voicing ideas. Artists act as individuals to make commentaries about the world that they live in. And the world that they live in doesn't have to be the grand Western world anymore. The world that they live in could be, the little tiny village in Mexico. Postmodernist is more of an attitude applied to an artwork. Modernism artworks cause the art audience to question their beliefs somehow. Postmodern artworks present more questions and reflection for the audience rather than actually providing answers to the big questions in life. Due to the accessibility of mass media, internet, and the growth in immigration, most postmodernist artists come from the fringes, come from remote areas, or come from really small, obscure communities. Here are a couple examples of postmodernist artworks. So appropriation is a very popular thing to do, where people from minority communities use famous Western artworks, or even famous Western cultural ideas, and translate them into their own personal or cultural perspective. For example, on the very left at the top, we have a Japanese artist called Morimura. And he looks back at Van Gogh, who's a very famous Western world artist. But what he's trying to imply here is Van Gogh's influence from the Japanese and blockwood printing. And how even though he is from a Japanese culture, which is very different from the one that Van Gogh was lived, there is that artistic connection between the two. Then you have on the right, on the very far right, and then we've got an artist from Africa, and he looks at the 19th century Western world and their formalities and their inconsistencies. But the one thing that is quite beautiful in his appropriation is the fact that he's taken the Western world clothing and fashion at the time and kind of reinvented it using the fabrics that we are familiar with in regards to African fashion. Another thing that you need to think about is how these postmodernists love questioning the role of materials in art. And we can really see that in the middle artwork by Banksy. And in that middle artwork, the use of graffiti. In the bottom left-hand hand, the use of the banal, the everyday, almost kitsch, tasteless object. If you think about those ornaments that you see in, people's homes that look like they come from the $2 shop on the bottom left-hand side where we've got Michael Jackson and Bubbles. So that idea of taste, what is fine art? Does fine art need to be a painting, an oil painting for that? Does it need to be a sculpture made out of marble? And then we also have the question of what is the role of the artist? Because if we look at the two bottom artworks, the one on the left of Michael Jackson and Bubbles and the shark, the artist himself did not actually make these artworks. And that concept is far more important than the actual artwork. So the questions that a postmodernist can actually pick up on are things that have to do on a cultural basis and on a personal basis, where they create and they discuss personal discourse with the audience. Or they could be even grander questions that revolve around the community. In this case, what I've discussed with you in regards to art materials are, communal art, community values about what is art. So just remember, postmodernists, most of all, they love beginning discussions. They love introducing discourse with audience that revolve around either communal values or personal beliefs.